In 2007, and about 18 months after I'd returned to Los Angeles, a friend of mine asked if I wanted to join her at a meeting of the Alliance of Women Directors. This was a group of talented women who were empowering one another to advance in their directing careers. Several were also members of Women in Film, which was well regarded for giving women and men in all areas of the industry an opportunity to develop their skills by making short films. They'd also established a PSA program, public service announcements, promoting non-profit organizations. 4 charities were chosen every year, and creative teams hired cast and crew and planned a 60-second PSA from pre through post-production and then distribution to local TV stations. Everyone worked for free, or really for the experience and the good of the charity. In addition, companies such as Panavision donated 35mm camera packages, and Kodak provided film stock and processing. Both companies had supported the Women in Film PSA program since its inception in 1993, and had a strong belief in fostering the next generation of filmmakers. A myriad of other individuals and companies also donated their services and facilities towards this worthy program, including Starbucks, who provided coffee and day-old pastries, and a local supermarket who donated sandwiches and other food and drinks. Keeping the crew well fed was very essential. This, was also a great lesson for me, knowing that to ask can definitely result in receiving. I was involved with at least 6 of these PSAs from 2007 to 2011, sometimes casting, but also producing and co-writing scripts. There are too many to describe, but I do want to tell you about 2 of the non-profits I was privileged to work on. The first PSA I cast, produced and co-wrote was the Canine Connection, which is a charity where at-risk teens train shelter dogs in readiness for adoption. Their slogan is, "Canine Connection builds young lives, one dog at a time." A trust is developed between the teen and dog as they work together, and with positive reinforcement from a canine volunteer, it increases confidence in the teenager. Helping abused and abandoned dogs feel loved gives these troubled young people not only a feeling of responsibility, but increases their self-worth. We only had a day to shoot this PSA, but it was a wonderful experience for all concerned. I'd never worked with dogs before, but they were all very well behaved. Although, to be absolutely sure, I did hire a professional, Misha, a beautiful border collie, as the dog being trained by our lead actress, who was portraying a girl from an abusive home environment. I'm happy to say that this PSA won the Platinum Best of Show Aurora Award, the highest award for marketing and promotional films. At that time, it was only the 3rd Platinum Award Women in Film had received since inception of the PSA program 15 years earlier. Naturally, we were all very proud of that. Here's a little bit of background on a PSA I cast for another non-profit, Operation Gratitude. It was not too long after the horrific September the 11th, 2001 attack on the World Trade Center in New York, when a lady by the name of Carolyn Blashek met a 20-year veteran soldier on his way to Afghanistan. He'd recently experienced the death of a daughter, was returning from his mother's funeral, and was in the process of divorce. He felt there was nothing to come back for and didn't care if he survived. The encounter prompted Carolyn to ask the question, soldiers are willing to die on the right and the left, but what are they willing to survive for? From this starting point, she created Operation Gratitude in 2003. At first it was just Carolyn and a few friends volunteering their time, donating items to remind the soldiers of home, and writing letters. But by the end of January 2004, 8,000 packages had been sent to soldiers during the Christmas holiday. In 2008, that figure had risen to 100,000 care packages sent annually to US military in Iraq, Afghanistan, and other hostile zones. 20 years on, a total of 3.5 million care packages with items meant to boost the morale and resilience of US service members have been shipped out. 10,000 volunteers from all walks of life pack care boxes and write letters to those in harm's way. School children also write endearing cards, and for some soldiers, this is the only piece of correspondence they receive. It was directed by the very inspirational Ramel Foster Owens, who I was fortunate to work with on another award-winning PSA, as well as other film projects. I found her very inspirational and a great support, not only to me, but to up-and-coming filmmakers. You know, these are the people who make working in the film industry a pleasure. Caring, thoughtful, and unselfish human beings. This description can also be applied to Tamika Lamison, another exceptional woman who had founded Make a Film Foundation. This was to team young people who have serious or life-threatening medical conditions with actors, writers, and directors who help them create their own short films. I was honoured to cast actors, including Kerry Washington, in the first narrative short film called Put It in a Book, which was written by and starred a young man with sickle cell anemia. In this story, two brothers try to survive the mean streets of Los Angeles. When one is killed by gang violence, the other must choose between a path of righteousness or one of revenge. Put It in a Book has played at over 20 film festivals and won many awards. Unfortunately, the young man who wrote and starred in the film died in 2016. In 2011, I cast another film, Deep Blue Breath, written by Clay, an 11-year-old boy with a set of birth defects called Vater syndrome, V-A-T-E-R, with each letter representing a part of the body affected. In his short life, Clay had survived over 40 surgeries. His first was an open heart procedure at the age of 3 months. Clay's film was half animation and half live action, and was about a boy who travels deep inside his body to an animated dream world where he engages in battle against the evil Lord Vader, a monstrous manifestation of his disease, and a play on Darth Vader. Meanwhile, in the waking world, a medical team tries to save his life. Elijah Wood, who I'd worked with on Avalon when he was 7 years old, had been working with Clay on his acting skills, and I was actually hoping he could portray Clay's father in the film. Unfortunately, he wasn't available, but he said he'd talked to his good friend Sean Astin, both, of course, well known for their roles in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Sean was open to playing the father role, and his manager confirmed he was available. I then cast Natasha Gregson Wagner, the daughter of Natalie Wood and stepdaughter of Robert Wagner, as Clay's mother. Coincidentally, Natalie was also good friends with Sean Astin, and she screamed with delight over the phone when I told her he would be playing her husband. Clay is now 20 and is studying engineering, computer science, film and media at the University of Kansas. He's the only surviving filmmaker of the 4 films made through Make a Film Foundation. He credits Tamika Lamison and his film experience with helping him to keep an optimistic outlook despite a lifetime of medical issues. She has spawned a second life in me, he says. She's given me the ability to be seen, and that's priceless. What a difference Tamika and Make a Film Foundation has made and continues to make in the lives of young people. So much of the credit also goes to cast and crew, who, just like those on the PSAs, donated their time and talent to worthy causes. Now, this is what excited me just as much as working on feature films, if not more. It's giving back and knowing that you're helping to enrich lives of others. It's in the giving that we receive. I hadn't heard from Barry Levinson for quite a while, but then he called and asked if I could work with him and the actors on a script entitled You Don't Know Jack for HBO. Well, I could hardly say no. And the next week, I was sitting around a table at HBO with Al Pacino, Susan Sarandon, John Goodman, and Danny Houston, incorporating dialogue changes into the script about Jack Kevorkian, who was a proponent of euthanasia. Next time, Al Pacino becomes Dr. Death. Thanks for listening.